computer. We will record on a computer. All right. And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn on our live. By the way, Goga and I worked so hard yesterday to figure this out because Facebook kept taking me to my private account and I wanted to go to the business account. But Goga is brilliant. He's so smart. I don't know what I would do without him because he was able to figure it out. Let's see, we got more people joining us. Hello, everyone that is joining us now. We are about to start our meeting. Let's go live. Goga, here we go. Let's make sure we don't make a mistake this time. Here we go,
I'm
guys.
sure everything okay.
All right, so we're gonna
But let me check one more time.
Yes, we're gonna put that. You put the Zoom. Okay, so it's the decoding the mystery of attraction. We're just gonna name our meeting for today. Hold on one second. Here we go. Decoding. Okay, so, and then we're going to name this for our description. Then we're going to go to my page. Then we're going to go to Anna Bruno's Get Skills Academy page. We're going live. Let's see. Here we go. Perfect. So we are live. Let's go back to Zoom. Okay. So can everybody hear me well? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. We have Chris just joining us. We have Siranush joining us. Everybody, welcome. We are just about to start today's, let's see, do we have anybody that needs to say anything, by the way, before we get started? If you want to ask questions to our guest speaker today, who will I will introduce in just a minute. Olivia, hello. Thank you for joining us. Arto, hello. Thank you for joining us. If anybody has any questions, please, you can raise your hand through Zoom. I hope you know how to do that. You can raise your hand and then I will let you know when it's your turn to speak. If anybody has any specific questions, you can, for those of you who are watching us and they're following us through live broadcasting through Facebook, you guys can type in your questions and my beautiful co-host Anna Sabrian and I will catch those questions and we'll give it to our guest speaker, Dr. Igor Kaleshian. Otherwise, we will go ahead and get started. Let's see, there's two more. So there's people on chat, they're saying some things. Let's see. All right, good. Everybody's good. So again, once again, hello and welcome everyone to our meeting today, our conversation. We are here, we're gathered here to talk about, you cannot minimize, okay, so we are here to talk about love, attraction. Most importantly, we will talk about what is attraction, different types of attraction, and we'll have our guest speaker, Dr. Igor Kaleshian, to tell us and help us to decode the mysteries of attraction. So now, what I'd like to do is, I would like to introduce Dr. Kaleshian. Dr. Igor Kaleshian is a highly accomplished entrepreneur and inventor with over 20 years of experience in the information technology industry. He is the founder and CEO of Iris Dating, which, by the way, if anyone who doesn't know, Iris Dating is one of the best dating apps out there. If anyone or whoever has not had a chance to try it, please go and try it. You can just download it. And if you know anybody who is single, and we'll tell you what's so different about and special about Iris Dating in just a minute. So Dr. Kaleshian is the founder and CEO of Iris Dating, a revolutionary dating platform that combines his expertise in computer science and artificial intelligence. Dr. Kaleshian holds 13 patents and earned his PhD from the renowned Bell Lab research facility in the US. After his company LiveLook, which was acquired by Oracle in 2014, he assumed the position of Vice President of Development at Oracle Corporation. In addition to his professional career, Dr. Kalashian is an avid mountaineer who has climbed over 200 mountains around the world, including Mount Everest. And I am so happy to call Dr. Kalashian my friend and colleague, and I think he's one of the smartest men I know. So without further ado, Dr. Kalashian, welcome to our meeting today. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and I want to thank everybody for joining the this Zoom session and live stream. I'm excited to talk about this topic. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. So don't hesitate to ask questions. We're here to have a dialogue, right? It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Anna, for an introduction.
Excellent. So we will start with the first question, which is a very natural question, I would assume, which is in the topic of our discussion, attraction. Let's talk about what is attraction. What is attraction to you, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So I would like to show one short clip. It's like a 1 minute, less than 1 minute. But it's extremely important to understand that there are different types of attraction, because when we use the word attraction, we all assume slightly different things, right? So let's clarify what attraction is from the science point of view. I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure that I'm also sharing the audio as I play this video. So, okay.
Did you know that attraction comes in 3 different types? The first is lust, which is all about sexual attraction and the release of hormones like testosterone and estrogen. The second is attachment, which involves oxytocin and vasopressin and is often referred to as the friend zone or the cuddle hormone. And then there's true attraction, that instant heart-racing feeling that floods us with dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. For the first time in history, artificial intelligence uncovers the mystery of true attraction, and it's a big deal. We now understand why our eyes instantly pick one special face from hundreds of others. For those who are seeking that special chemistry, we created Iris. Join us today and experience the magic of true attraction.
So I hope that clarifies or sets the stage for discussing attraction a little bit, because what and as we discuss things, it's important to keep in mind that Iris focuses first on true attraction, that instant feeling, which occurs when you see somebody without knowing anything about that person, right? So I wanted to clarify that. Jan, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I see more people are joining us. Welcome everyone everyone who is joining us. You didn't, we just started out, so we didn't miss anything yet. So we are discussing about attraction. And my first question for Dr. Kalashian would be, how can we balance the importance of sexual attraction and attachment with the need for true attraction and creating meaningful connections? Just like in the video, it mentions that there are 3 types of attraction. So let's talk about what comes first, what's more important.
So, so in nature, let me just step back and say the following. In all my previous companies, I strongly believe that if what we do mimics the nature, what happens in nature, then people will appreciate what we're doing, and that will resonate. So in nature, let's say you're sitting in the room. I'm just hypothetical situation, and 10 people walk in, right? You do not distribute your attention equally to all 10. You don't give 10% of your attention to every person. Your eyes pick one special person, and then you want to learn more about that person. And you may be disappointed, or you may fall in love, etc., etc. But it happens in that order. So that's why we say start with attraction, and specifically with true attraction. And going back to this video we just played, because you first see somebody, and then you want to learn more about that person. And when I actually observed how existing dating apps were approaching matching, I understood that it's backwards. Let me explain. You will go and you will put a long list of requirements. I want the person to be this and this and this and this, and the distance should be this. So for example, you can say, I want the person to be no further than 20 miles. And then what happens if there is an amazing match which is just 21 mile away, right? It's just 1 mile further. You will not even know about the existence of that person, right? That person will be filtered out. So the list of requirements or list of they go back to the attachment or a friendship or a friend zone or a cuddle hormone, right? This is where the list of requirements is important. But the amazing thing is that when we find somebody who we find extremely attractive in a sense of true attraction, we tend to compromise, right? We may come in with the preconceived notion that we want all these qualities, but when we fall in love, and there is an expression in every culture, love is blind, or some variation of that expression. What it means that when you're falling in love, you tend to compromise on the list of your requirements. And when it's mutual attraction, both parties tend to compromise.
That's really great. And what comes to mind for me is the fact that I feel like, and this is just in real world, you have a long list of things that you want, let's say in a potential partner, if they need to be, there's a whole list that everybody has. But my question to you is, if you found somebody with that checks off all the boxes, but there was no physical attraction or the lust, that part of the attraction, will that work long term?
Well, ideally, we all want all three types, right, of attractions. We want true attraction. And by the way, one thing about true attraction, which I actually was reading for myself, like a script which I want to record, but allow me to read this for this audience. Going back to that clip which is just played, right? Notice that Tom Hanks.
So that's going to be watchable though for you. You do know that, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be difficult. Not.
So guys, anybody, David, if you could just mute yourself, please. And then if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand and you can ask any questions that you want.
I'm going to play this clip just one more time and then draw your attention to one certain few aspects there.
Did you know that attraction comes in testosterone, referred to as the friend zone or the cuddle hormone? And then there's true attraction, that instant heart-racing feeling that floods us with dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. For the first time in history, artificial intelligence uncovers the mystery of true attraction, and it's a big deal. We now understand why our eyes instantly pick one special face from hundreds of others.
So I want you to draw attention to this fact that it's a face which our eyes are picking, right? So, so this is important because Tom Hanks sees Meg Ryan's face. He knows nothing about her. Reaction is instant. The body plays an important role in sexual attraction, but the face is the most important dominant factor in true attraction. So let me repeat this. It's all about the face when it comes to true attraction. Also notice that no additional information is needed to feel attraction. Again, Tom Hanks knew nothing about Meg Ryan. Face composition is very complex and a lot of information is encoded in it. Who we find attractive is in our DNA. That is why the reaction is instant. It is and well, let's say in our DNA, what I mean by that more specifically is that our ancestors going all the way, 50,000 years back, whom they chose as a partner, in what climate, et cetera, influences. It's sort of, when we're born with this ideal image in our brain, influenced by our ancestors. And when we see somebody in real life who gets closer to that ideal facial image, then our brain releases those chemicals instantly. And so it is as if our ancestors are telling us, pay attention, this may be a good match. So there is a lot of important clues in that true attraction, right? I don't want to mix it up with the sexual attraction, which is a lot simpler, I would say. This one, there is a lot, it's almost like a DNA advice from our ancestors that this will be a good match for you, right? So you should be paying a very close attention to those cues. And finally, I want to say that our research shows that surprisingly, skin color, hair color, and eye color do not play as big of a role. So I know that all the manufacturers of the hair coloring products are not experiencing any attraction towards me right now, but that's true, right? I mean, it's mostly about face composition, all the proportions in the face, not so much about color of your skin or hair or eye color, et cetera, et cetera. So going back to your question, ideally in ideal case, we want to experience true attraction. Apologize, I'm going to close the door. My dog hates all FedEx trucks.
That's okay. So basically, guys, what that means is that all that money I spent on blue contact lenses, blue colored contact lenses, were all waste of money because I did not know that the eye color and hair color is not as important. But oh well, now I know.
I mean, it's relevantly not important, right? Because if something is 10 times more important than the other, that's what I'm emphasizing. So ideally, we all want everything to start with true attraction. We want to find person compatible, and there is nothing wrong with sexual attraction, absolutely, right? But if one of those three components are missing, then typically discussion goes towards, okay, in the absence of all three, which one or which two are more important? And that's a very complicated discussion. What we're trying to do in ours, we're trying to facilitate true attraction, true mutual attraction. Then it will be your responsibility. We will also help you to see if you're compatible with the person, because sometimes compatibility can be very complex. And again, don't forget about compromising. I said that you tend to compromise when you feel true attraction. I mean, to emphasize how strongly true attraction dominates all other factors. And I think we had these publications in one of the press, but we actually have people who, almost nothing else matters when the people experience true attraction. So for example, a Trump hater will fall in love with a Trump lover, or you know, if they're not matched by religion or political views or any other factors, but still we see, you know, over and over again that the probability of people actually forming connection when the mutual true attraction is extremely high is happening over and over, which means that's a dominating factor in all those three. But the problem is, and this is a final thought that I'll get to, the problem is that the true mutual attraction is so rare that we're accustomed to the fact that we're not experiencing that level of true attraction. And therefore, we say, then we ask ourselves, okay, yeah, I probably will not feel that level of attraction. So what's next? Then, of course, we say compatibility is important, right? The friendship, all this attachment is important. And that's how it plays out in the absence of true attraction. But when true attraction comes in, you tend to compromise.
So that's very, very interesting. But then the next question that comes to my mind, and I'm going to go off my script here, and I have some other questions that people are asking that we will answer. But the first thing comes to my mind is, how does artificial intelligence play a role in everything that you just talked about?
Absolutely. So I want to again emphasize the fact that going back to this clip, that Tom Hanks saw Meg Ryan, knew nothing about her, saw her face, and his brain released all those chemicals, right? So keep this information in mind. You know, I'm a mathematician, right? So I'm very methodical in sort of setting the stage.
Just 1 second, Dr. Kalashian, because we have people from different parts of the world. For those of you, if in case you don't know about the movie, we're talking about a very, very famous movie, in which case Tom Hanks, the actor, says Meg Ryan. What's the name of the movie again?
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle. Has everyone seen this movie? If you haven't, you should go watch it. It's a very interesting movie. But what we're referring to is that instant feeling of something that you get inside of you without knowing anything about the person. You see somebody, you're drawn to them. You don't know why. You don't, like Dr. Kalashian said, you don't know anything about them, but you can tell that there is something special about this person. You can feel it inside of you. So if you haven't seen this movie, you should definitely go watch it. It's a very famous movie. And then we can have a discussion about that next time. But okay, go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to, because we do have people from, you know, other parts of the world that may or may not know about the movie.
Absolutely. So again, notice this sequence of events, just millisecond wise, right? So he sees.
We now understand why our eyes instantly pick.
That's basically it. He sees her face, and already in a quarter of a second, those chemicals are released in his brain, right? So what we can conclude from that, we can conclude that it's, as I said, it's about the face, and further, it's about the composition of the face. So how AI actually learns who you find attractive. Those people who actually registered on Iris, you know, probably went through the process, and those who didn't, I invite them to do it, because when you go through this initial stage of Iris training, it's an amazing feeling that you get. It's like first time when I went through it, I almost fell off the chair. It was like, it gives you goosebumps. But the way it works, we first display you, show you random stock photos, right? So it's a random stock photos. We try to be as diverse as possible in those initial set of different races, different types, different etc. And so, and then we ask you to rate them, like, dislike, or pass. And if you're unsure, we ask you to hit maybe. So when we display random photos to women, for example, statistically, they like 3% of those photographs, just 3 photos out of the 100, right? By the way, when I say statistically, we already have over 2 million people going through this process. So our results are very, very solid. And so, but as you rate, AI finds similarities, or the better explain, the patterns between, it answers the important question: what unifies all the people whom you gave a like, right? What's common between them? And then what unifies all the people whom you disliked? And then it learns. So think about it like, Genie from Aladdin, right? You kind of explaining to Genie who you find attractive, and then Genie is equipped to go and scan 1 million people in a second, right? And pick those who you find attractive. So when we go for the training in phase 3, Iris suggests, you already kind of says, okay, I kind of know who you find attractive. So how about those photographs? And at that point in phase 3, women like 55% of those photos. So it goes from 3% to 55%. It goes up 18 times. For men, men initially like 10%. Men are not as picky as women, right? So they go from, instead of 10%. But then at the end, when Iris suggests, gives men suggestions, they like 85%, right? So it raises 8.5 times from 10% to 85%. And that's how AI learns which faces you basically like. And I already spoke about true attraction being tied to a face. Did I answer your question?
You did, but that brings up another very important question. And again, I'm going off topic a little bit of my prepared notes, but that's okay, because this is a very important one. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we can discuss it. But the most important question that comes to my mind, and I know we've had this discussion, a lot of people have preconceived notions. You know, everybody says, I have this type, you know, but somebody will say, my type is, you know, blonde and blue-eyed and tall person. And then somebody else will say, my type is whatever. So how does that fit into what we just discussed, fit into the picture? Because again, just another example, you know, when I go shopping, I tend to buy the same type of clothes, the same style of clothes. And then one time I had one of my girlfriends with me who happens to be a professional stylist. And she was like, Anna, you should try something different, which I would have never thought to try, but then I did, and I was like, wow, this looks really nice. So can you comment on that, about people's ideals and, you know, expectations and preconceived notions, and how does that fit into how AI understands that and what AI presents to you?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say this: AI knows you better than you know yourself. That's number
scary,
one.
Isn't it? That is scary.
And I want to give some specific examples. So we had people in our team, for example, saying, you know, I know my type. Like the one person from our team says, I'm attracted to Eastern European women. For example, I know that this is my type, you know, etc. And then he called me, you know, like, he says, I cannot believe it. Iris suggested him, you know, a black woman, and he was in love, right? And it's just like, this absolutely kind of turns my world upside down, because I would never think that I would be attracted, but I am, right? Because again, I want to emphasize, Iris ignores skin color, you know, hair color, etc. It finds the facial composition, and so it happens to find that woman, which was extremely attractive to this person. In addition to that, I want to say that we as humans are capable of grasping 5, 6, 7 maybe parameters in the face. We can, when we are trying to describe a person, we can, you know, maybe remember big eyes or a certain shape of a nose or certain shape of the lips, etc. But AI has tens of thousands combinations there, which we as humans cannot grasp, our eyes do not grasp. And we even did interesting tests when one person would actually train AI, right? So is training AI, and there are several people observing and trying to predict next picture. Will he give the next picture like or dislike, or how he will rate it? And we as humans were never even closer to precision of AI. AI was guessing a lot more precise than we as a human, because we think, okay, I'm kind of thinking, maybe he likes, faces with big eyes, right? But then there's an exception to that. Or maybe I'm thinking, it's this, but then there's exception to that. By the way, when I say exception to that, it's very important. One thing I want to mention: some dating apps even try to implement this kind of approach that, upload a photograph of the famous, or somebody you found extremely attractive. We will just go and find a similar person to that, right? Like and by the way, finding similarity is trivial from, on a technical sense, and face recognition systems are working like that when you have a person and then they match, another person, right? So, but that approach, when you upload somebody and try to find a similar person, spectacularly fail. You would go and upload, for example, I don't know, George Clooney, and then you'll see somebody who, yes, kind of similar to George Clooney, but you don't feel that attraction, because it's not about similarity. It's about what in that composition mysteriously, triggers your DNA. And if I did not explain that point well, I'll be happy to elaborate on that.
No, I think you did a great job of explaining, but then, what comes to mind, and again, I'm going to tell you a couple of real life stories, because I had some of my friends, particularly women friends, to go and try the app. And I have a couple of anecdotes about that, because so, women go, and then, different women from different parts of the world, and they're like, I don't want to have this type. I don't want to have, people from this specific region, or I don't want to have people from this specific culture. And and it was interesting, because after going through training, they were shocked. They were actually liking people they never thought they would like. So going back to your point, like, I think we almost do ourselves a disservice by limiting ourselves, because we think one way. But the truth of the matter is, what you said is so true, that AI knows us better than we do. Because I think one of the unique opportunities here is that we let technology do the job, right? We let technology help us understand exactly what's in our DNA, and exactly what and who we're attracted to. I think that's what's so special and unique and different about this.
I think, and there's always exceptions, by the way, but not a thing I know from the analytics, that other factors, like, again, compatibility factors and others, are raising, are the lower true attraction, the more important compatibility factors. The higher true attraction, the less important compatibility factors. So if this makes a big, and this goes back to compromising, right? If you're truly in love, you would not care about other characteristics. If it's not too strong, other things become very important.
So let's answer some of the questions that came in. So one of the questions is, what factors do you believe are most important in creating a feeling of true attraction between two people? What are the most important factors in creating a true attraction?
True attraction is organic. It's either there or it's not there. Meaning, if you don't feel true attraction to a specific person, that person can hardly do anything to change that. I mean, it's in terms of true attraction. Again, you can be very compatible, and a lot of people get married and live together for a long time because they're just feeling very comfortable with each other. That's why I'm the second type of attraction we talked about is compatibility, or it's called cuddle hormone or a friends hormone, right? So you can be very sort of comfortable around that person. You may, for example, you may look at the man and say, not experience the true attraction, but then he can win you over by great sense of humor, by being a good person, by et cetera, a long list of things, right? That's where compatibility comes into play, right? But true attraction in our DNA, I mean, it's may sound harsh, but there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing, both parties can do. It's either there or it's not.
That was actually going to be my next question. My next question was going to be if you could speak about the role of non-physical factors such as personality traits or shared values in creating a sense of attraction between two people. You almost like answered that, but I don't know if you want to add anything else. The role of the non-physical factors. What is the role?
Well, I mean, maybe I'm guessing because when we played the entire clip, then there was several people joined. Because it's a short clip, I would suggest that maybe I play it one more time.
Please,
because
let's do that again, and we'll talk. Yes.
Do you know that attraction comes in 3 different types? The first is lust, which is all about sexual attraction and the release of hormones like testosterone and estrogen. The second is attachment, which involves oxytocin and vasopressin and is often referred to as the friend zone or the cuddle hormone. And then there's true attraction, that instant heart-racing feeling that floods us with dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. For the first time in history, artificial intelligence uncovers the mystery of true attraction, and it's a big deal. We now understand why our eyes instantly pick one special face from hundreds of others. For those who are seeking that special chemistry, we created Iris. Join us today and experience the magic of true attraction.
So I just want to ask a question to all of the participants who are in the Zoom room. Does this make sense? Do you guys agree? I mean, any questions or comments? I would love to hear from you. Now is our chance to ask questions to Dr. Kalashian. You must be doing an incredible job of explaining everything because it doesn't look like we have any questions, which is good. Excellent. Oh, looks like we have a question. Let's see. Definitely seems like it's worth to try. Okay, so from Hishma. Hishma, thank you so much. Yes, if you want to try it, it's an app. You can go to either Google App Store or the iPhone, iOS App Store and download the app. And then it's free to try. You go through that training process, just like Dr. Kalashian was saying. And the results are incredible. I can tell you from personal experience and from the experience of my friends, some of the people, they're just shocked at how it opens up their horizons, which brings up, by the way, another very interesting point. And it was one of my questions that I wanted to ask you. How does this affect people who may be, let's say, socially shy? Or I had a question on that. Let me just see. There was a really, really good question that I had for you.
Anna, John, I just want to mention that Daniel raised his hand.
Okay, go ahead.
I can see you on Zoom. So Daniel, go ahead, please.
Hi, yeah, quick question. I'm wondering, based on your statistics that you gather for this app, how long does a training process usually take on average?
It's a great question. I would say it takes anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, usually in that range. And it depends. This is how it works. I mean, Iris learns every time you like somebody or dislike somebody. I mentioned that when we start by showing random people, and for example, women give only they like only 3% of photographs, right? Which means they dislike 97. So we usually collect dislikes very, very fast because, you know, you dislike majority of photographs you see, but the likes are harder to come by. And here is an interesting balance which we need to find, which we try to explain with our UI, you know, prompts, and we'll be putting additional explanations there, because there is a very important balance. If you're super picky and you're not giving anybody a like, artists will, you know, first of all, the process will take longer, right? Much longer, because maybe you're disliking 4,000 photographs and liking 5, right? That will take maybe half an hour or more. On the other hand, and if you are quickly liking a lot of people, and especially men, have this problem. Let me explain what's happening. I think there's a percentage of users who come to Iris with this mindset, which was influenced by other dating apps like Tinder and other, that you as a man need to like as many women as possible in order to increase your chances of a match, right? I know, for example, men who just go and like every single photograph, and then some reply, and then they start then filtering, you know, with whom they want to communicate. That is a wrong mindset for iris training, because when you're liking 80% of photographs, AI thinks that you're just liking everybody. Like it's going to give you predictions the same way, right? Because it's not, the bottom line, it's not going to be a very good training, but it will go very fast, right? Because when you collect n number of likes, it will just finish the training. So to answer your question, it depends on how picky you are. The pickier you are, the longer the process will take, but picky also good. So you need to find a balance between being extra picky, and which prolongs the training process, and being specific enough. You really want to give like only when you look at the person and your heart is beating, right? Because if you otherwise, if you think the person is pretty, you know, nice looking, etc., give it a maybe. Don't give it a like, right? Because then you get more specific.
How does AI, I'm sorry, how does AI comprehend the maybes? Because you have the like, the maybe, and a pass. So what does maybe mean for the machine, for the AI?
Maybe is being ignored by AI, and maybe was put in place in order to put a distance between like and dislike. In other words, if we didn't have maybe, you would tend to give maybe more likes when you're feeling maybe, or maybe, you know, you give dislikes when you're feeling maybe. So we specifically put maybe in place in order for you to be more specific what the like is and what dislike is.
So we have a couple of more questions coming in. Let's see what else we have here. We have from, let's see, from Ezra. Ezra says, you seem to emphasize the look of people. What about the other factors like personality? I know we touched on this, and I don't know, Ezra, if you still have questions, but let's just come back for just 1 second and just emphasize it again. Obviously, what do you think about the fact that Iris emphasizes the look of people, and what about the personality? How does that take into consideration?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say that it is not a competition between true attraction. And by the way, when I say look, there is a physical attraction we talked about, and then there's a true attraction. They are very different, right? So it's important to emphasize that we're talking about true attraction. Because a lot of people will say looks, they think physical attraction. That's not what we're talking about here. But it's not a competition between attraction and other factors. I mean, this is sometimes when you talk about the fact that, hey guys, you know, for 20 years, all dating apps try to match you by compatibility, and it did not work well. And why I'm saying it confidently? Because 80% of online dating users are frustrated, right? Can you imagine going to Starbucks and coming back frustrated 80% of the time? That business would not be there, right? But But in online dating, 80% are frustrated. And all we had for 20 years is all, you know, with some two groups, Tinder, you know, like it's a sexual swiping mostly, but then other dating apps are, you fill a long list of requirements, psychological tests, you know, blah blah blah, you know, as if search for love is a job interview, right? I mean, it's not a job interview. Let's face it, right? And so I'm not saying it's not important. It's super important. All I'm saying is the right sequence in which you meet somebody is you would want ideally to feel attraction and then find out if you're compatible. I'm not minimizing importance of compatibility. I'm just putting this in the right sequence. If it was backwards, like if you have a compatibility list, like I'm this and this, and this is how we match, then in real life, we would actually walk like this, covering our faces with who we are, etc., without seeing the face, and then falling in love with that list of requirements. But that's not the way it's happening.
And I just want to mention something that I'm thinking. Obviously, you know, as a woman, as a female, I have a daughter who is 10, and it's a big concern of mine because I know that women tend to compromise. And maybe you can talk about that. You know, is it in certain cultures more than others, or is it generally women tend to compromise? And generally, women wait for men to sort of make the first move and be attracted to them. And then women start choosing from the pool of men that are attracted to them. So typically, and again, I hope I'm wrong, but typically, women tend to compromise, and maybe they pay more attention to the compatibility stuff. You know, is he stable? Can he provide for me? Can he provide for my future children, and so on, as opposed to looking for that real, true connection and true attraction. So can you talk about that? Because again, as a mother of a daughter, I don't want her to compromise. I want her to find true love. So how do we do that?
Yeah, so first of all, you're absolutely right. I mean, just that women have, you know, responsibilities of raising their children there, and you know, so they're looking for financially secure connections and other things. But and what makes it tough is that true attraction. Let me just say, and what you're absolutely right. The other thing is that they see who is interested in them. So there is, for example, a pool of men who's interested in them, and they choose from that pool. They're being, I would say, more practical in that sense, right? But what does not help is the fact that true attraction is so rare, and especially true mutual attraction is so rare, that at some point in life you say, let's get real here, right? Let's not wait for the knight in the shining armor. You know, it's never going to happen, right? And you get more practical. Or so you and I would say that both women and men compromise. You know, to some degree. It's hard to say, but basically we conclude. In literature, there is even, you know, this notion that if you really like somebody, if you know if you tend to think that it's impossible, you'll not get it will not be mutual, right? It's like a curse of falling, being very attracted to somebody. You know that your chances are very small, but that's mathematically. Apologize. Let me clarify something from the math point of view. If I ask the audience, how many people? Yes, and I see your hand. Just say, if I ask the audience, how many people in life you need, like on the street or you know in the city, you need to see in order for one person to evoke that kind of feeling in you? Different people give different answer. Like some say 1 in 10,000, 1 in a million, etc. But even if we assume it's a 1 in 1,000. That means that probably you see this person, the probability that person feels the same way about you is 1 divided by 1,000. It's infinitely small. And the probability of you actually having mutual attraction is 1,000 squared, which is 1 million. In other words, in 1 million people, there's one pair which looks at each other and feels this way. And now ask yourself, what is the probability of you just randomly, finding that person? And on dating apps, if you even scan 100 profiles a day, it will take you 30 years to scan 1 million people. So it's impossible. That is why we're talking about other things being important, like compatibility, because we basically give up on true attraction and say other things are important.
Actually, can I tell a story? Recently, I connected with a college friend of mine that I hadn't spoken in a million years, and she found me on Facebook. Apparently, I'm famous now. People find me on Facebook from like high school years. And so we were talking about our college years, and she reminded me, I was telling her about Iris and about, love and true attraction. And she reminded me that, we had gone to a club years ago. This was years ago. And there was this one particular, this gentleman, Indian guy, who was staring at her. She was, her and I were dancing. So this guy's looking at her, staring at her. And definitely you could tell he's attracted to her. And she was attracted to him too. But, we were just having fun. And, I guess maybe she was waiting for him to approach her. And then maybe he was just too shy or something. I don't know. So it never happened. And then when we were talking about all this, she told me, Anna, do you know, 10 years later, she goes, I still think about that man. And I still regret the fact that I didn't let him approach me, or I didn't make the first move. Maybe I should. 10 years later, she's still thinking about it. Can you imagine?
Because it's very rare. It's very rare. Sasha, I believe you had a comment or a question.
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. I love Iris. It's the best of all dating apps, in my opinion, my personal favorite. And I've never had the opportunity to speak with the founder of a dating app before. So I think that speaks to how unique Iris is. And I do appreciate this, Igor. But I wanted to ask, as a user, my situation, I think, is a bit convoluted because I consider myself a demisexual, meaning that I don't feel true attraction per se based on a physical thing alone. There needs to be some sort of mental or emotional component for me to really feel that I'm attracted to someone, generally speaking, or at least that's been my experience. So a lot of the time when I'm swiping on Iris, there is a truth to that whole true attraction from a physical sense sort of thing. Yes, I do tend to like a certain facial feature set up, and the AI is learning that about me and having more and more success with that, which is great. But then my experience tends to be that I'll see someone who I think, physically is a 9, a 10, great for me, perfect, and I'm very attracted on that level. But then I'll scroll to their bio and it says something stupid like, I don't know what to say here, or here for a good time, not a long time, or just ask me. And I'm immediately turned off again because I don't get the sense that I would have that meaningful connection that would make me feel attracted beyond this point. But then there's someone who's okay, maybe a 6 or a 7 physically to me, and then they wrote that thoughtful bio that really grabs my attention and boosts the level of attraction I see myself having to them. So I guess my question is, am I shooting myself in the foot on Iris by not trusting the AI more so and still seeking that other aspect of attraction? What is the role of the bio, basically? Does it matter? Is it a nice to have, a necessary? Should I consider it? Should I not, etc.?
It's a great question, and it's going to be a complicated answer.
I told you, I warned you.
But life is complicated, isn't it?
It is.
Or we make it to be more complicated. Go ahead, Igor, sorry.
No problem. So, let's, first of all, I just want to be upfront with this audience, because I think this is the only way to kind of have this trust when you actually tell the truth to the audience, right? So So we have 2 million people on Irish, right? Tinder has 75 million, right? It's huge, and we're getting there. We are growing a lot faster than they did or Hinge did, etc. So people appreciate what we do, but our database is still relatively small compared to, let's say, Tinder. So part of me, and I influence the decision, high-level decisions on in design of that. I'm kind of afraid to filter by other things like bio, etc., because then I'm afraid that you will miss on the other side, on true attraction things, right? So I'll match here, you'll miss there. And so I'm basically saying you make the choice, but I will give you enough as our database grows. There will be more and more people who are 10 for you, like attraction level, and then true attraction level. And then there will be invariably, there will be one guy with the decent bio, right? Who is not stupid, if that makes sense, right? So I'm trying to do it that way. Now, as we grow our database, we will start tightening the screws on the other things like bios and things like that to do other matches. But I want to do it very gently and very, very carefully, not to throw away great situations with the true attraction, especially true mutual attraction, because they are literally 1 in a million. I mean, they are extremely rare, right? So if I filter by bio, I may throw away something great. And again, I'm going back to compromising factor, right? Maybe you engage in a conversation. I would encourage you to be more open-minded and write this person, you know, I think you have a stupid bio, and discover how they react, you know, and maybe they will adjust, right? Especially if they will actually compromise and improve if there is a high level of mutual attraction, because they will feel about this connection as a precious opportunity, and they will improve themselves, right? If that attraction is present. Yes.
Let me mention 2 things actually, Sasha. Number 1, note to men, everybody fix up your bios. It doesn't take a lot. You can go to ChatGPT if you want to, but fix your bios, it's important. Number 2, Sasha, I think, it's my personal opinion, but I think you should give those people a try, or give it them a chance. Even the ones who didn't write, you know, says ask me or whatever, if the bio is not perfect, but if you do feel a high level of attraction, I think you should give them a try. And then you can always, you know, decide later on that's not the right person for you, but give him a try, because you never know. Maybe they're shy, which brings up my next question, actually, if that's okay with you, because this sort of fits into it. My next question is very important one, actually, which is a lot of people, especially men. Actually, I have another story. My 15-year-old son, 2 years, was it last year? He came to me, Alex, and he says, "Mom, I wish I was a girl. I wish I was a girl. I was a woman." And I was like, "What? All my life I wanted to be a man. Here's my son wants to be a woman. What's up with this? What's going on?" Right? And I said, "Why, Alex?" And then he says, "I really feel like I don't want to have to go to ask women to go out with me, to girls." Like, he's like starting to like get into that age, teenage age. He was like, "I don't want to ask girls to go out because I don't want to get rejected." So which brings up the point of this fear of rejection. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are socially maybe not as comfortable about, you know, putting up themselves out there. So my question is, how might technology and AI be used to help people overcome barriers of attraction, such as shyness or social anxiety? What is your opinion on that?
It's a great question. So let's take a, you know, real life situation. You're walking into, I mean, you're in a restaurant sitting, you know, and then you see somebody extremely attractive, like, you know, and you're afraid to approach, right? Why are you afraid to approach? You rightly pointed out fear of rejection. The fear of rejection is very strong. Here's one interesting biological fact. You may not know that. Let's say a man approaches a woman and she says yes to him, right? Like the connection is formed. the positive emotion is plus 100. But if he rejects him or ridicules him, the negative emotions are like minus 500. So it's 5 times stronger than the positive. What it means is that over time, we'll learn that it's not worth it, right? It's not worth the experience. It's not worth experiencing that kind of pain. And as a result, you know, as you said, majority of men are afraid to approach women, etc., from the fear of rejection. Now, where iris comes into play is that you would actually know that that person already experienced attraction toward you. So your chances of not being rejected are substantially less. I mean, substantially higher, that you will not be rejected. We're actually also thinking about implementing a feature called the radar, another inside kind of tip for audience here. It's in our priority list. We think about a feature called radar. Imagine you go to the venue, to the restaurant, etc., and iris starts scanning everybody around you. And if there is another iris member, it will automatically check the level of mutual attraction. And if it's high, it will tell you, hey, you know, there's a person sitting by the bar. Do you like her? And it will be similar. They both will receive notification. If you like the person, you can start chatting, doing via app, and then, do you mind if I approach you? And the probability that she will say yes will be, you know, infinitely better than if you do it cold like that. So we want to help those situations, but it's great question about fear of rejection.
Amazing. Well, since we're like past the hour, and I had promised everyone we were going to keep this discussion for approximately for an hour, what I would like to do is I want to give you my last question, and then everyone, if you have any additional questions, you're welcome to ask them now, or you can of course get a hold of me down the road later on. If you don't know how to get a hold of me, my name is Anna Bruno. You can find me on Facebook, which is Get Skills with Anna Bruno, and many other channels, or you can just put it in a chat and we will get a hold of you. Now, my last question for you, Dr. Kaleshian, which would be, let's see, what are some potential future developments in the field of AI-assisted machine making, and how might they shape the future of dating? So how all this, which is what you just told us about this radar thing, which I think is phenomenal. But you know, what is your opinion about this involvement of AI in helping people to discover true attraction and helping them in dating? What do you see in the future? What's the future for us?
I mean, future is almost scary, right? I mean, what AI can do. I was thinking, I mean, we actually right now, as our database grows, are thinking about the following problem. Let me just, so let's say we know instinctively that it's extremely rare to really see somebody like instantly fall in love and the person feels the same thing about, same way about you, right? Now imagine that you have in parallel 5 situations like that, right? How your brain is going to react to that, like going from understanding that almost never happens in life to all of a sudden you have 5 like that, right? So we're actually thinking about limiting those kind of connections in order to not to overload your brain, right? Because, but in terms of capabilities, I mean, imagine this, that I'm kind of, what AI is capable of and what we want to do is 2 different things. But I'm going to talk about capability. For example, AI can now find mutually attracted people. It can suggest the first message which you're going to write to each other. Sasha is going to polish your bio, you know, so to prevent, you know, some stupidity there, right? It can go as far as having a conversation and setting up a date. Like it can scan, you know, all the restaurants or cafes and find out which diet you like or whatever, and just boom, you check your calendars. You both are open here. and set up a connection. It's probably can, so joking, but probably can hold the handle as well. But sorry, hold the candle as well. But we have to be careful in terms of, you know, sort of how much this is a capability, but how much needs to be implemented, that's a different discussion. That's a complicated discussion because there are dangers in AI as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And are there any other questions for our attendees today? You have been so wonderful, such a great audience, such great questions. Are there any other questions before we finish up for today, guys? If there are no other questions, in that case, I want to thank Dr. Igor Koleshian, the founder of Iris Dating, which is an app. So it's Iris Dating app. Please go download it, try it out. Let us know how you feel about it. And once again, thank you, everyone. And stay tuned because we will be having many more of these discussions and we will have some amazing speakers, guest speakers. We're going to have dating coaches. We're going to have life coaches. We're going to have personality coaches. We're going to have styling coaches and everything else in between. And if you have somebody that you want to recommend, please do so because we're open to it. So thank you again for participating and have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.